Hey, what's shaking, everybody? Welcome to Talking MONS, our Digimon Ghost Game recap podcast. My name is JD, and of course, joining me is Jeanette and Gary.
Hello.
Hiya.
And today we're going to be tackling episodes 25 and 26, The Crimson Banquet and Cannibal Mansion. And I'm just going to say right up front, there's some fucked up shit in these episodes.
Viewer discretion advised.
Yeah.
I would say Cannibal Mansion is kind of a misnomer.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that.
There is people eating going on, just not by other people, but...
If it's a Digimon eating a person, it's the natural cycle of life.
It's
Yeah.
the
Circle of
circle
life.
of knives.
Oh, God. So we'll go ahead and start with episode 25 of The Crimson Banquet, which is... It's vampires, everybody. I think I called it on the last episode, like, they were talking about fucking vampires, and they're like, well, there's only one vampire that I can think of in Digimon canon, and what do you know? Myotismon's the bad guy.
Oh, we can play a game with this. We can say, is this Digimon or is this Vampire the Masquerade?
More or less. Yeah, so this episode basically revolves around, like, this very ritzy company that invites, like, groups of 4, usually women, to come sample their new products in this very, like, penthouse, very regal, elegant kind of thing. Weird that all of the products that they come out with are, like, themed around the color red. But it turns out that we've got the leader, who is this very handsome, blonde CEO, tycoon, whoever, whatever. He's very alluring to these female clients, and then we have his he's got like 2 henchmen and a big dog who he calls a good boy, and up until the point where he starts murdering people, he is.
Well, it's not just any women and girls that he invites. He invites only influencers with lots of followers.
Yeah, so more people will be attracted to their stuff because then they'll go out and advertise for them, or they'll just attack people in the street. That also happens.
I would like to point out, just real quick,
Yeah,
it seems rather short-sighted if you're trying to have a secret turn people into vampires operation, doing it with influencers is probably not the best method.
we're not going to say Myotismon has the best plan here, but I mean, he's got a plan. But yeah, it basically turns out that Myotismon he's recruited these other Digimon, including Dracmon, who returns and gets offed pretty quick. Basically,
By Myotismon himself.
yeah, because basically Dracmon, because Ruli gets invited to this thing, because obviously she's an influencer online, and she immediately recognizes Dracmon, and Dracmon's decides to forego his disguise at that point and said, like, okay, I'm getting revenge on this girl because, like, she and her friends fucked me up last time. And Myotismon's like, bro, you kind of jumped the gun on this. You obviously can't follow orders, so they just kills him. But yeah, Myotismon and all his little friends, they just, like, bite the necks of these girls and turn them into vampires and send them out into the world to make more vampires, because Myotismon's like, vampires should run the world, I guess.
Listen, the current way things are, it's not working out. I will take vampires at this point.
But yes, but this whole episode culminates in, no one is strong enough to fight Myotismon, because obviously he's like one of the big bad guys of the entire franchise. But it takes Gamamon gets so frustrated, and Hero is just like, well, don't worry, we're gonna do this together, and their power of friendship, that Gamamon finally evolves to Ultimate. So we finally get to see his ultimate form, Kano Weissmon, who is a big white and red dragon.
Feels more like a Yu-Gi-Oh dragon.
He does look like a Yu-Gi-Oh monster.
Oh my gosh, I thought the same thing.
Like, you could tell me he was a monster made in the 5Ds era, and I'd believe you. He looks like the fucking Stardust Dragon.
See, I was like, you can tell Digimon definitely has a card game now because we've got the card game monsters.
Right?
I've not seen Yu-Gi-Oh at all. I've only seen one episode. It's like, yeah, that's very much Yu-Gi-Oh influence.
Oh, he's a Yu-Gi-Oh ass monster for sure.
One interesting about that fight is that my oldest one, Link, beat Gamamon. with Hero. So every hit on Beetle Gamamon, Hero get hurt too,
Yeah.
and that's why they super evolved.
Yeah, because they just like they have that deeper connection now, and clear that connection, especially with the little vital bracelet Digivice everyone has this season, really is playing a part.
It was so close to doing the, I assume, dark super evolve.
Well, yeah, because you see Beetle Gamamon's eyes go black for a few minutes, but then Hero's like, no, we don't need to do that. We're going to do this together. And that's what snaps him out of it and gets him to go to the next stage. But anyway, sorry, guys. I've been rambling here. What did you guys think about this one?
Jeanette, you go first.
I thought it was pretty good. Like, it's not the best I've ever seen, but I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it. The hero getting tortured was really fucked up, and I don't know. One of these days, one of these kids is going to break. Especially, I'm putting my money on Rory because Rory, between this episode and next episode, just has so much bad shit happen to her.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah, I have questions regarding this whole scheme of my oldest mon. Is like, did he take over a company that is already around, or has he been in the real world for a long time, building up the brand and this like global conglomerate?
Yeah, they don't really say, do they?
I have questions.
I want to say he probably has been building up the brand just for his noms, because I mean, Spider Lady, she'd been like around for years. It was implied, so I bet he has too.
And speaking of Arukenimon, it's interesting this season where some of the Digimon have been able to make, specifically these two, have been able to make human disguises. Arukenimon, obviously, we knew could do that from season 2 back in the day, so she already had a human form disguise. But now Myotismon has a human form disguise, and really all of his henchmen do.
Yeah, and the doggy has the doggy disguise.
Yeah, so it's clearly it's very interesting which Digimon they choose. Like, okay, well, they could transform to make themselves look human-esque or something that would exist in the world, not their monster designs. And I'm wondering if we'll see more of that going forward, because it seems to be a more recent thing. But I enjoyed. I thought the whole vampire aspect was kind of silly, but the way they executed it was cool, and to see like which Digimon Myotismon, like, because like he's really the only vampire Digimon, so it was interesting to see like, okay, which Digimon did he actually bring in to be part of his like vampire horde.
I've not seen any of the other Digimon before.
As soon as he had a dog, as soon as I saw he had a dog, I knew it was going to be Sangloopmon. I wasn't expecting Matadormon to be his sidekick. Which I kind of like low key love his demeanor for this entire thing, because when they go up to the roof to have the big fight, Matadormon's like basically like, "Hey, do you need my help with this?" He's like, "No, you can wait." It's like, all right, so he just goes and sits down. And then when Myotismon pieces out at the end, he's like, "Huh, bummer," and then he leaves.
I love Matadormon. I thought he was pretty great. And I like how he's like, the rule of vampires or whatever. What a joke.
Yeah, it's like, I was expecting more from this. Oh well, he leaves. So I imagine we'll probably see Matadormon again.
Well, my oldest one too. He's technically not defeated. He just relinquished all the command on the vampire people.
He just like, all right, I'm beaten. I'll get you next time. But I felt like for someone who was going to force Gamamon to go to his next stage, I thought the Myotismon was a good choice. Just because we know from established canon from other shows that he is like ridiculously powerful. So obviously they were going to have to go to a next stage to fight him. So
it makes sense for Gamamon to face Myotismon like this for the super evolution, but it annoys me, and I feel like this is a trend with the previous episodes too, is that the story around this fight wasn't hero focused. It's around Ruri, and it happened before with other characters too, that he gets the new evolution, or he and Gamamon resolve the fight, even though the story isn't centered around them. I feel like if we faced if we have a really centric story first, and then lead into a hero story. If let's say they make a two-parter, then that will make sense. But right now, I feel like it takes out the spotlight from Ruli.
Yeah, and I have a similar gripe with the next episode, which I'll talk about. But no, I totally get what you mean. They do seem to have a habit of doing that.
Next episode isn't as bad.
It's not as bad, but I there's a specific reason I have a problem with it. But
I have the same problem too, but we'll get to it.
Yeah, but I like that we finally get to see Gamamon's ultimate, which, like I said a few episodes ago, if you really want to see the trio's ultimate forms, they're out there. But just to see Kano Weissmon in the show now, even though he's very out of place with the rest of Gamamon so far, but
he does appear from in the intro sequence after this episode.
Okay. I think I've said before I don't really watch the intro or outros. I kind of skip over them just to get to the episode. But that's interesting. I'll have to watch that now that he's in it.
I'm gonna guess when the other Digimons get their ultimate form, they're gonna change up the intros as well.
Yeah, and so okay. So do you guys remember watching Tamers and the intro basically spoiled the entire evolution line for everybody?
Somewhat, but I remember it's more in a silhouette than anything.
So I learned later on that the silhouette version was for America only. Actually, in Japan, if I remember correctly, the mega forms aren't shadowed out. You get to see the entire line from episode 1. So I like that they are changing the intro slightly as new things get introduced, so you're not getting spoiled.
Huh.
And I feel like they're holding these like ultimate evolutions like just very close to their chest, kind of, or keeping them very secretive until the actual moment.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if you want to go find them, they're out there, but I like the show itself is not like trying to spoil it for you. Like, you'll see it when we get to it.
Jeremy Snow here, owner and editor-in-chief of The Geekly Grind. I'm interrupting your awesome, regularly scheduled programming to ensure that you know about our Geekly Grind podcast network, of which this show is a treasured member of. If you haven't had a chance to check out our site, you can do so at www.thegeeklygrind.com, and while you're there, check out the other members of our steadily growing podcast family, including the anime-centric Blake and Spencer Get Jumped, discovering new heroes and comic book keepers with Chris and Lance, exploring the vast universe of geekdom with Geeksploration, or of course appreciating animation's finer details with the Ink and Paint Club. Escape your weekly grind at The Geekly Grind.
Alright, so we'll go ahead and move into episode 26, Cannibal Mansion, which I thought was a very interesting episode.
Also very sad.
It's very sad, very creepy, very scary, but also kind of heartwarming in a way. Because it turns out that Digitamamon, who has showed up in previous season before, but he's just basically a big egg
with legs.
Big egg with legs. But apparently he's an old friend of Angoramon, and they used to do research in the digital world, which we get a nice flashback to that. So not only are we getting more backstory, we actually get to see the digital world this time. It also kind of explains why Angoramon seems to be so knowledgeable about everything, because apparently he was a researcher.
He's a big nerd.
He's a nerd.
He and that Digimon that what was it? The one from Digimon 2020 at the end of the
Weissmon, the little dude in the book.
They would have been so happy together.
Probably. But it turns out Digitamamon's been in the real world for a while, and he's been hanging out in this house. But something caused him to materialize, and he realized just how flippin' hungry he is, and he accidentally eats a guy. Eats his soul, I guess, but then when he tries to spit him out, he just turns into sand. And we never get anything in the episode saying oh yeah, the guy's fine. Once Digitamamon's defeated, he goes back to being normal. No, he's just dead.
Along with his wife.
His wife, and I think his kid too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
he kills a family, man.
He's he kills more than a family. He kills the family and then everyone who comes after. He's a murdering machine.
Yeah. So yeah, there's actually more human death in this.
Approximately 6 months he's been in the real world, and it has spawned a urban legend about this house eats people. Whoever
Right.
moves in,
right.
they disappear.
So yeah, Digitamon basically is like, oh, you're friends with the humans. You should totally bring them here so I can meet them. And so yeah, Angoramon like says, hey, everybody, come over to this house and meet my friend. And yeah, there's this really creepy scene where like Ruli and Digitamon go off together to like, oh, I want to show you this other part of the house with all these really creepy old dolls. And then he like, when her back is turned, like tries to eat Ruli. Thankfully that doesn't happen, but like he's just like so focused on like I need to eat human souls to the point where obviously they have to kill him. But before I get into my problem with this episode, what did you guys think about it?
Besides the problem that I had that Hero really steals the thunder, which that never flies well with me in Digimon. I loved this episode, especially with how creepy the little egg one or egg Digimon was, because it basically has a child or a voice, and it's so creepy. Like it effectively nails the creepy factor really hard, and I really dug that.
Yeah, it's the way that he's defeated isn't as bad as the previous episode because it's Angoramon who finished it. Crap, what's the name of the ultimate?
Kano Weissmon.
Yeah, Kano Weissmon only weakened it.
Right.
So at the very least, it feels more like Rui's and Angoramon's story.
Yeah. But that Kano Weissmon is ultimately my problem with this episode. Because like, I get it, he's shiny and new. But I felt like if there was gonna be an episode where Angoramon was gonna get his ultimate, this would have been the most like appropriate time to do it.
Yes,
because
definitely.
they can't crack the shell of this guy, and it's his friend, and he knows he needs to put his friend down, and that would have been the perfect time for Angoramon to like, okay, I need to power up because obviously I can't fight him at this level. I need to fight him at this next level, or he's literally going to eat my friends. Because there's nothing stopping him. He's gonna do it. But nope, we Hero and Gamamon come into a story that ultimately doesn't involve them. We get Gamamon's shiny new ultimate again. To get the egg to the point where Angoramon can just like kick him once and then he's dead. So it's just like, guys, like if ever there was a time, ever a story that would have been good for like Angoramon to get a new evolution, this would have been a perfect opportunity.
I wasn't expecting him to get the ultimate, just because in the previous episode we need a few episodes before the next Digimon get the evolution. So I was expecting them to try to outsmart Digitamon by attacking him while he's attacking one of them.
Right.
You know how he's like more or less his body's like ooze out of the opening of the egg. I thought they would do something like that where they attack right after he launches himself out.
Yeah.
Like outsmart him.
But I mean, I do see your point where the show has had a habit where like, okay, someone gets to evolve, usually Gamamon, and then we have to wait a couple episodes before we get someone else's evolution. I just think that thematically this episode felt appropriate for Angoramon to evolve. If that would have meant to like hold this episode off, because there's nothing in this episode saying that like, okay, this logically needs to come after the episode before it. You could stick this episode anywhere, really. But yeah, it left a bad taste in my mouth by having Kano Weissmon come in to a fight that doesn't involve him emotionally. This is very an Angoramon fight because he has to kill his best friend. It just seemed like a missed opportunity, so I'm just a little salty. Other than that, it's very creepy and very effective.
Yeah, but I do also like the little personality that the Angoramon show and also the flashback. Like Angoromon's like, oh, look at all these books. They're all first edition. I've read them before, but it's awesome that you can see the first editions. Like this house has a lot of antique books.
Yeah. He's like, I've read all the data, so like he's read all the ebook versions of it, but he's like, I just like hold it. It's like, God, you're a nerd.
And the flashback is hilarious because I didn't know there's a platinum Numemon,
Yeah.
and it's the poop throwing Digimon, but it's all gold and platinum with wings and blinks.
Okay. When I got that one in my my brain Cyber Sleuth Digimon game, I had no idea. I looked at it and I went, "What the fuck? This looks like a Britney Spears poop monster."
Yeah, he's silver and has a bunch of chains and shit. He's hilarious and I love him. He's so stupid. I love their surprise that like he's made of platinum, but he still throws poop.
Platinum poop.
Platinum poop.
Its previous form, it's called Black King Numemon, and it's a slug wearing a king instead of wearing a crown instead of a shell. It's a snail, more or less, and he has this mustache.
He sure does.
So it's a snail with a crown and a mustache. The crown on the back, not on its head.
Sometimes Digimon designs can be really goofy, and sometimes it's great. In instances like this, like let's just take Numemon, who's already a doofy design, and let's make him more ridiculous.
I don't know if he's in the card game yet. I want Platinum Numemon in the card game, and he better be a foil card.
Yeah, he better be. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I think this episode could have been more with the emotional aspect, but other than that, like I think it's very effective with its creepiness, and I know like sometimes we get like we get some like kind of creepy-ish, but like still kind of kid creepy. Like I think this episode was like legitimately creepy.
Oh yeah,
I agree completely.
Yeah. Anything else you guys want to talk about today?
I mean, I need to send Digimon a bill for my therapist.
Fair. Yeah. All right. Well, Jeanette's therapy notwithstanding, I think that'll do it for this week. Thank you everybody for listening. Be sure to let us know on our socials and in the comments below what you thought of these episodes. When you think we're gonna see Jellymon and Angoramon's evolutions, if you think it's gonna be coming soon. And yeah. So we'll catch y'all next time. Stay safe.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.